Thank you, sir.
Sorry about that.
All righty. Welcome to the Public Safety Committee meeting of Monday, April 17th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. Having called to order, I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
So moved. Second.
I will, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Abstain, I was not there. All right, they pass. We are now open for public comment, if there is any public comment. Open for public comment, and there's nothing in queue on our screens from somebody logging in, so we, at publicmeetings@rockyhillct.gov. So no public comment, which moves us to departmental updates. But prior to the updates, I'd just like to say a word or two of thanks to Chief Custer, who has moved on from Rocky Hill. I really enjoyed working with him from the council seat, from this committee. He did a lot for the town. Like I said, I really appreciated his work and his stewardship of Rocky Hill's public safety. Chief Michael D. Custer was appointed in January of 2003 and served 20-year tenure at Rocky Hill. Some of the chief's major accomplishments include obtaining full accreditation from CALEA, the Commission on Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies, Inc., which is known as the gold standard in public safety, and it is national in scope. So we are very fortunate to have a police force that is CALEA certified, and I believe, Chief Collette, it requires a lot of work to maintain as well, right? You don't just get it and that's it. The CALEA accreditation
Is a daily
ongoing
process. Sure.
Chief Custer graduated from the National Federation Bureau of Investigation, better known as the FBI Academy. He played an instrumental role in the Capital Region Chiefs of Police Association and served as a training coordinator identifying and recommending programs and certifications for officers in the region. Chief Custer played a vital role in the new police department project, creating one of the best, highest quality police department facilities in Connecticut, which included state-of-the-art dispatch center and a new evidence room and upgraded ADA compliant jail cells. Chief Collette was talking to me earlier about some other renovations going on, and that facility, I think, stands as one of the finer facilities, I think, in the town by town in Connecticut.
I've been to many facilities, and folks who come in ours, and they're in awe of
Yeah.
how beautiful the building we have. And we continue to expand, even with the women's locker room I mentioned to you earlier as well.
Yep, thank you. Chief Custer increased the minimum staffing level and the number of first-line patrol officers within Rocky Hills Police Department to ensure a safe community. And as you know, we've been experiencing, starting with the pandemic, kind of an uptick in car thefts and deviants patrolling Rocky Hill, looking for opportunities to go into garages and do whatever. And in the event, we're thankful to have those extra patrol officers on and, keeping the visibility of law enforcement in Rocky Hill highly visible and safely managed. So having said that, Acting Chief Collette, correct?
Correct.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you. I don't know if the other counselors would like to say something yet, or on behalf of Chief Custer at this moment, but no.
And I echo your comments. My relatively limited time working with him on this committee, I thought it was a pleasure. I was always impressed with how well prepared he was and how responsive he was to the issues that we raised. As a longtime resident of town, I feel very blessed to have the police department that we do. I think it's always been a model of professionalism. Chief Custer provides big shoes to fill, and we're very confident that Interim Chief Collette is up to the task.
Yeah, and I will second both of those thoughts from the committee members here. And I'd like to thank Chief Custer for his long service to this town.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Chief Collette, please let him know that we miss him already, okay?
I will.
Thank you, appreciate that. That being said, department updates, starting with fire.
All right.
Larry.
Thank you, sir. Review a couple of highlights of our monthly report. In March, we responded to 44 incidents, brought our year-to-date to 165, which is slightly above what it was last year at this time, and I'll go into that more shortly. Our training recorded was 342 hours, and again, we're above by about 33% where we were last year. 0 injuries reported. Our staffing is remaining constant. Station 1 has 15, 2's is 18. Excuse me, Company 3 is 13 with the fire police 7 and the staff 10. Out of that, we have 2 on military leave, 2 on administrative leave, and 2 on medical leave. We put on 1 new member last month, and we had 1 resignation, so that number remained the same. Couple other things, we put a new standard operating procedure in place for the care and maintenance of protective gear, and also for a standard operating guideline for addressing car fires. We received a donated Ford Explorer, which was in very good condition, and we've turned that into a safety and support vehicle. And that vehicle will support fireground safety, drone operations, accountability, et cetera. The report goes in and shows that our public information people were busy. We also attended several events, all at the schools, 2 at the Creek School. 1 was Reading Day and the other one was Safety Day at the Creek School. And then there was Read Across America at Myrtle Stevens School. We are working at 295 Retreat Avenue in an acquired structure. We're spending a lot of time up there with search, rescue, and rapid intervention. We've issued out our computer-based training, trained on car fires last month, and we still have 2 members in Firefighter 1 certification school. We've had 4 members. The report you have talks about they've taken the written certification. They've all passed that. We've also have 1 member completed as a and certified as a Fire Instructor 1, and another member completed and is certified as a Fire Officer 1. And on top of that, we had 2 members attend and receive their Connecticut 2Q driving endorsement. Okay. Moving on from that, the limited access highway reimbursement program's going well, and as of today, we've billed out $87,500. We received an email last week from MXI Environmental Services, LLC, informing the town that there is a 1-day household hazardous waste collection day scheduled for May 13th, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., and that'll be at the MDC facility on Goffbrook Lane. We have copies to submit, and I have copies for the town manager, and we'll also make sure they get down to IT to put on the electronic boards. Training, very busy month with training and incidents. A couple of highlights. Again, we're up at 295 New Britain Avenue, focusing on firefighter safety and how to recognize the signs of trouble and how not to get lost or trapped. And if you do, lastly, how to survive in an immediately dangerous to life and health environment. The topic of our last officer training was standpipe operations. And this was a high-level class on when, where, and specifically how to use the standpipes and the tactics employed for a successful operations. This was to complement our February hands-on training for the new standpipe setups. I've been mentioning officer training for the past several months, and the goal is to ensure officers and potential officers are receiving supervisory and management training. This is both for fireground tactics and department management and leadership on and off the fireground. As recruitment becomes more difficult, we've been honing our tactics to accent doing more with less personnel, and that's along the lines of these officer trainings, and I'm happy to report we're really beginning to see a substantial difference in the quality of decision-making. These classes are well worth it. We went over the certifications. And lastly, again this month, drone training was conducted in a joint effort with the Rocky Hill Police Department. From our quartermaster area, and as mentioned last month, we're looking to replace 32 helmets. The NFPA, in conjunction with OSHA, have given a formal interpretation and have determined that the service life of a helmet is 10 years. We have some in service since 1997. We're adding the cost of a helmet into one round of gear replacement from now on. We also talked last month, and just to reiterate, about rescue airbags. They have a 10-year lifespan. When we bought them from Paratech, there was an accepted testing procedure in place which would allow us to extend the service life of the airbags as long as they successfully made it through the test. Paratech no longer recognizes the testing procedure. So we've removed them from the rescue pumpers, and we'll keep them only on the rescue truck, the heavy rescue truck. And we expect a delivery of the new airbags in August. What we are planning on doing is having the apparatus carry automatic, the rescue pumpers carry automotive floor jacks. This is mainly for electric vehicle fires where there's a need to get a lot of water under the vehicle to cool the batteries, and this is the best way we can see to do it. Before I wrap up, I'd just like to touch on incident and response for a minute. We had our first river call last week, and this was a report of a capsized boat floating down from the Hartford area. Our Marine unit was not ready to respond, but we assisted with the drone, helping locate the boat and provided a safety overwatch on the operation. The boat happened to be abandoned and unoccupied. DEP came out, secured the boat by rope to a tree. We have copies of the numbers in case it breaks free. We can communicate that downriver for situational awareness. We pulled the boat out of storage last Friday, and going through it today, we're having a lot of difficulty with a fuse block as well as the radar that's on it. We contacted the manufacturer of the radar. It's 20 years old. It's no longer supported. So we're going to have to get creative in replacing that, as it's a safety issue, especially at night and low visibility. You really want that out there. Moving on, since January 1st, we've had over 200 calls for service, which is about 15% greater than last year at this time. We are averaging about 17 firefighters per call, which is a little misleading because we have a number of single and two company calls. For a department-wide incidents, we're averaging just about 24 members per call, which is real good. The membership, with that said, the membership has about 3,400 individual responses, and that's a lot of times leaving your house. A quick comparison from last year's call stats show an increase in all categories across the boards, although we have had a greater increase in service-related calls with the spike in Arctic temperatures in early February. And I stand by for questions.
Great. Counselor O'Sullivan.
Thank you. Yeah, Chief, a question just popped into my head as I was looking at the incident type report. So I saw one incident involving a medical assist helping out an EMS crew, and then there was 2 motor vehicle accidents with injuries and 8 without injuries. Now, obviously, in the course of the month, there were a lot more car accidents than that, and there were a lot more medical incidents than that. So my question is, are there particular things that trigger fire involvement in medical emergencies and motor vehicle accidents?
That's a great question, and there is. And I'll take it in the category you put it. The one incident with an EMS assist is most likely an EMS assist on the highway so we can block for the ambulance for a medical call, okay, to provide that extra degree of safety. We get called to all motor vehicle accidents with injuries or potential injuries. So if it's a report of an automatic report with the airbag deployment, we'll get called to it. Okay. The ones without injuries may turn out to be refusals, no injuries. We're up there either for standby, for fluids on the roadway, looking at it from an environmental eye that way, and cleaning up that. I can tell you we were up on the highway a couple Sundays ago evening where a tractor trailer, the straps for the 100 plus gallon diesel tank failed. It dragged the tank for quite some time, stopped in Rocky Hill with the hole in the tank now facing downhill, and dumped the contents, and we were up there for that for several hours. So that's some of the incidents we go to if there aren't injuries in the motor vehicle accident.
So is it routine for the dispatcher to ask when they get a call for a motor vehicle accident? Is it routine for them to ask if the airbag deployed?
I'm going to really turn that over to Officer Klett, or Chief Klett, because I'm not sure.
Generally, the information we're gathering is location and if there are injuries. And then that's the trigger for us. As soon as we hear injuries or potential injuries, then we're sending the fire department along with the police for the response.
Okay. Because Chief Gary mentioned, was the airbag deployed? And it seems like that's kind of if the airbag deploys, it seems like right there, that's kind of a trigger of like this is potentially serious.
Some of these reports may come in through an automatic notification system where the vehicle senses the crash, airbag deployed, and calls through, what's the service, OnStar or
Okay.
whatever.
Yep.
So you might not even have contact with the people in the car.
Right. But when you hear there's been an airbag deployment, is there an assumption that there's potential for injuries and that triggers a fire response?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. All right, thanks.
Counselor Prakash.
I'll take the promotion. Chief Gary, I was just wondering, actually, this is, again, like this triggered, like because of, you have that abatement of taxes hearing.
Yes.
So I was looking at, like, you always have, like, the LOAs, the leave of absences. How is that calculated? Like, because I know, like, there's some people go on, like, medical leave and, like, like a friend, Neil, like, right? So if you go to, like, a medical leave of absence, like, how do we, like, those, what do you call, like, tax abatement benefits such as those calculated?
That time won't count against them. That's
Okay.
all automatic through our management software. So we just go in, we determine the type of leave, and working with HR, we have, I believe, 5 types of leaves. And depending on the type, it's either counted against you or not. A suspension would be counted against you.
Okay.
Pretty much everything else isn't.
And then that same will transfer to the spouse. Coming back to, like, the question at hand here, like the hearing we have today, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's the tax abatement.
Right.
So that's,
Will that require a certain amount of service?
right. That's a good point. So the town ordinance requires several triggers for us to put your name on a list. Our internal triggers are you complete your physical requirements, you do 50% of your scheduled training, 100% of your core training, plus you make 23% of all calls that your station is dispatched to. And if you recall, a few minutes ago, I talked that we do have 1 station calls and 2 station calls. So those wouldn't be counted against you. Say if you're in station 2 and 1s and 3s goes, that's not counted
It's a
against
pretty
you.
stringent bar.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is a stringent bar. To the credit of our people, last year, I don't believe we didn't have any people not make it. I think everybody made it last year. It is a stringent bar, though. It takes a lot, but it's a fairly significant benefit, because that also triggers your pension point as well as your tax abatement. It's the same criteria.
Yeah, because I always, like, when you produce these reports, I always see those categories there. And, like, there are so many people, like, LOA, like, different kinds of LOAs and stuff. So this just kind of, I thought that was kind of relevant to what we were going to do today, later today. So, no, thanks for, so obviously there is a metric.
Yes,
Looking
there
at
is.
a bunch of metrics, and that, if we were to do this after the public hearing, if we were to take this up, all those, the criteria would pretty much be the same as it applies to the personnel, as it will apply to the spouse eventually, right?
That's correct. The public hearing today calls for benefits being extended to survivor families from line-of-duty deaths. So there's only, there would be 1 family from EMS and 1 family from fire.
Okay.
So this isn't completely across the board with survivor benefits for all our spouses. This is line-of-duty deaths.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Great. All right. And I have one question. The donated vehicle is a what?
Ford Explorer.
Explorer, and who donated it? Are you liberty to say, or how do we find?
I don't mind saying it. Deputy, one of our deputy chiefs, Mark Gentili, donated it.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's awesome.
As usual, I have a copy of my remarks for you, Ed, and for the town manager.
cool. All right. And then is that in your report is what's noted as car 43? Is that how
Yes.
you're going to refer to it?
That's car 43.
So that's how you'll see it.
Yes, it's a safety and support vehicle.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you for the report.
Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
I just have 3 questions for the chief. if
Sure.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
I do, yes, 3. Well, 2,
All right.
and 1 comment. I'm curious, do you have like a goal for the maximum number of members, for the department?
I think that goal should be about 90, 30 members in a company
30?
plus support. I think that's going to be very difficult to get to. Quite frankly, Ray, one of the ruinations of volunteer service is this thing right here. It's just intensified life to the point where people don't have the time that they did at one point.
All right. And is there an increase in the number of 991 responses this year as opposed to last year?
I don't have that information with me, but I can tell you our 5-year average was about 18% of our calls were up on I-91.
Okay. And lastly, you didn't comment on the Capitol event last week. State Capitol Awards.
Oh, thank you. We're our own worst enemies when it comes to bragging.
No, brag. You deserve it.
Last week, through the efforts of State Representative Wood, our members who were awarded the Firefighter of the Year earlier in late February were brought up in front of the Hall of House of Representatives to receive proclamations for their service and for their efforts and dedication. After which, we were all invited to the Lieutenant Governor's office for a nice little private chat and just a very nice time. And it was great for those members to get recognized on that level. Never happened before that I can remember. There was a little hesitation on a couple of them, but when they went up there, it was ear-to-ear smiles, chest was out, and feeling good about themselves. So thank you for bringing that up, Town Manager.
That's great.
All right. Ambulance report.
Thank you. The Rocky Hill Ambulance had a total of 398 calls for the month of March, bringing our total up to 1,151. There were 20 canceled calls, 1 no patient contact, and then there were 2 that we were canceled prior to even getting there. We had 11 lift assists for the month and 13 refusals with no transport. So far, since January, we've had 3 opioid-related transports and have had 3 cardiac arrests for the year 2023. Our training hours for March were 87 hours. We had 2 meetings. The first ones was for toxicology, and the second one was a pediatric emergencies for pre-hospital provider class that we did with the state and the children's to get people certified in pediatric emergencies, pre-hospital care. We also have 5 people in our EMT class that just took their midterm exam. Things are going very well with those guys. We did a fire standby on the fire grounds for the fire department on the 28th, and we did a health service standby at the community center where we check vital signs and answer any kind of medical questions the seniors have. We do that once a month in the beginning of the month. We have for the month we have 3 new members. We have 39 active riding members. We have 9 associate members. We have 13 probationary, 2 on medical leave, and 4 away in college at this time. And that's about what we have. And you have the list and the graphs for the rest of the calls and stuff.
Counselor O'Sullivan.
No questions. Thanks for the report, Brian.
Yep.
Chief, any details on the Aetna report, which we discussed last time?
The survey? No, I
survey.
contacted them. I haven't gotten a reply yet back from them, but I'm still trying to find out how it ended up in the packet. You know, if it goes to every person, and if there is some kind of a
Yeah, and if there are any
some
like,
kind of a chart or something, or so, you know, because I'm sure they're just getting the feedback, but I'm sure they're not going to hand out all the bad complaints that they get. So I'm guessing that when they get a good complaint, they just add it to the packet and send it in. I didn't include it in ours because it doesn't pertain to anything that we have here. It's more of an Aetna thing that they're doing for their stuff.
so just redirecting that to their town manager. Is there anything, Ray, like we get from Aetna now, like similar to like server results or like any other data from them, like we were discussing last time? Right?
Not the graphs, but they can certainly reproduce graphs if you like. I mean, we have, like, for example, in your report, you have the Aetna report. They're out of the 398, I think they responded to 273.
Right, they did, right. I gave them that one, yep.
Yeah, so, out of the total, they've responded to 273, but that chart could be converted, I suppose, to
Right.
something like that, yeah.
Something like that, and just breakdown of like when they're doing those calls and things like that. And since they're like part of the data set, I think it would be only fair to have.
I've called them multiple times on the graph thing, and he said that's the program that they have, and that's what they were going to be giving us. They weren't going to break it down to the graphs, because I asked them, because I wanted like to break it down, like how many are their calls are cardiac arrest, how many of theirs are actual like opioid stuff, so we can keep, I tell you, there's only 3 for the year of opioids. That's what Rocky Hill Ambulance does.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
They don't send us a report of things broken down per call. So I just get a generalized report from them, just telling me how many calls that they've done and their response times. So they make sure that they're within guidelines for their response times.
I'll get that from them, either through me or through the mayor.
Yeah.
One or both requests will get something from them.
Okay. Thank you.
Could I ask just because I'm watching these charts for the first time. So when I look at the charts of the 398 in total, but one of your bar charts has like down the left side, counting from 400 to 0. Is that on your second chart, not the present year, the one called calls for service, trend by week?
By day of the week?
Correct.
Yeah.
So the number going from 400 to 0 versus the one on the right that goes from 90 to 0, are we looking at total of the volunteer ambulance plus Aetna, or is it just the
This is
charts
just-
are Aetna only?
Eric, this is just Rocky Hill, right?
Yes.
This is our charts. This is our stuff.
The numbers on the right pertain to the line. It's a trend showing calls of service for the year versus the past 4 years based on the days. So on average, your line to the right, bars to the left. And it's just showing, it's a comparison of the trend. And
Oh,
pretty
okay,
much on
they're
par.
not labeled, okay, that's good. So then on the others, like the calls for service, run disposition, I'm looking at only like the volunteer ambulance transports. This is a chart that's just volunteer ambulance only and no Aetna in there.
Correct. We don't, right. We
Okay,
don't have any.
all right, so we don't have charts on them, okay.
Nope.
Thank you.
Never have, right?
Any other questions?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Alrighty. All right, thank you, thank you. We're going to move to the police report. Chief Collette.
Good evening. So for our current status on some of our employees, we have 3 currently on light duty, somehow all shoulder injuries, but we're keeping monitoring that. 1 should be back in the next week or 2. And the other 2 are kind of long-term prognosis, so we'll get you an update as we get that. For the month, we have 3,090 calls for service, 26 criminal arrests, 25 motor vehicle accidents, 1 DUI, 60 infractions, 163 warning tickets, 7 town ordinance tickets issued, 17 calls for animal control officer, 2 community service events, 2 car seat installations, and a total of 685 hours of training. Our community service events incorporated a reading program over at West Hill School, as well as a drone demo at the Creek School with our drone unit. And our training this month, besides some in-service training we were doing internally, a couple of our officers went to a crisis intervention training, 2 of them, and then also we sent some of our supervision and commanders to a use of force analysis, which gives them the tools to kind of look at trends and patterns and identify any issues or things we need to be getting ahead of. So that's a very powerful tool there. Beyond that, I think for a public announcement, on this Saturday, we're doing a drug take-back program from 9:30 to 2:30 here at the police department in the front circle, where you can bring prescription drugs or pills in, drop them off, and we will have them destroyed through the channels with the DEA. And I would be remiss if I didn't provide some update on the incident on Valley View. I can't go into too much detail on the investigative aspect, but I can say that our detectives and some of our patrol officers are working with state, local, and federal task force and violent crime. Those communications have yielded some very valuable information. We do have some strong leads right now, and actually tomorrow going down to do some more processing of evidence that we believe is available to us. And I do believe, and I hope I can come back and report to you in at least 1 arrest on that case. And it may not be overnight, but we do have some strong leads there on that incident. Matters prior to the chief leaving, I just went back over the last public safety meeting. There were some questions or discussion either at council or public safety regarding the sand pits. We have deployed our drone unit actually twice down there as a preventative measure, kind of being able to determine where they're coming in from, but what they do is they leave down through the tracks, and we have a very limited ability to get our vehicles down there. But we found the drone unit to be pretty effective in at least being a presence there, learning the patterns and trends, and we've made some proactive contacts through about 20 patrol checks of the area. We had 1 bike we identified was trying to come in, got a little education, and sent them on his way. So that's my update for the moment. I know that incident is on everyone's mind, but I want to assure you that we are focusing on that as a major focus of our detective division right now. And like I said, I want to give you some confidence to know that what I know, what I'm unable to share, however, is the leads and information we have is very substantial. So to have a pretty positive update for you on that.
Thank you. Counselor O'Sullivan.
No, thank you for a comprehensive report, Chief. I have no questions.
Yeah, no, thanks for the update on Valley View, and I don't have any questions as well.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate the, so this is the incident that I think on social media is talking about, there's seem to be some motivations behind their actions. Maybe they left behind some literature,
I think
leaflets,
the literature you're referring to was being dispersed by another group.
another group.
Yes, and we did collect and find, some residents called us, we were able to collect up some of the material. It is from a group that, a fascist group that supports, some sensitive topics, and that's not easy to talk about here with you, but something that I know us as a community does not support. Looking at it as far as what it is, it's really a First Amendment right of these groups to post their message, whether it be on public space or newspapers or media. What we're limited to here with what occurred in that area was they were dropping leaflets and little confetti with websites. So on a police level, we're looking at a littering violation. But the message they're trying to send is protected by the First Amendment. So it is concerning. We're aware of it. We've done our best to collect the material and get it out of our neighborhoods and away from our children. But we are monitoring it. But the crime itself was not motivated by this group. This is a group in response to the crime, trying to spend their message that they want to share and have members join their group.
Thank you, thank you. Great. Any questions from staff? No? All right, great. Emergency management is not here today. No. Okay, emergency management, no? Okay. And should we just, well, all right, old business, do we have any old business? I don't believe.
Health
So, yeah, going to jump right to the health. So on new business, moving to new business, Central Connecticut Health District, Charlie Brown. Thank you, Charlie, for your patience.
No problem. How are y'all doing tonight?
Fine, thank you.
So we're doing well overall with respect to COVID numbers. Numbers across the state are really down, and it's really gotten to the point that the numbers are actually getting so low that when we have a positive case, the percentage impact is really high. The actual emergency, the declared emergency for public health is scheduled to end on May 11th. And right now, the numbers are very low across the board. We're continuing to monitor using some, non-traditional surveillance methods, one of which is wastewater surveillance. They actually test the wastewater to see the amount of COVID-19 virus that's in there. This is something that's relatively new that they've been doing since COVID started out. And it's actually been able to detect some other diseases as well. So we do have Hartford area surveillance through that system that we'll keep an eye on. And if the numbers start to go up, we can, start to evaluate the trends from there. Other than that, I think we're just cautious because we are seeing quite a bit of time since folks have been vaccinated. The last booster was quite a bit ago. Recommendations for boosters have yet to really come out again. But with the time frame since people have had the last shot, we're just a little concerned about waning immunity. So we want to just remind folks to do the right things as far as the protective measures that they have in their hands, aside from vaccination, which is washing your hands, covering your cough, staying home if you're sick. With that, I stand ready to answer any questions.
Councilor O'Sullivan.
So, thank you, Charlie. So what is the most up-to-date guidance on getting another booster?
So right now, we're waiting for the recommendations to come out. FDA had put out recommendations that vulnerable populations, the elderly, and those that are immunocompromised could potentially get another booster shot. We're anticipating, but we haven't seen a reformulation of the actual vaccine at this point. So that's kind of what we're waiting to hear, but we're not anticipating that will probably happen until the fall, if at all.
So for people who got their last booster, say, around the holidays or so, you're potentially looking at 9-10 month gap between that last
Right.
shot and then waiting for the reformulated one to come up. Does that create concern on your part?
A little, as long as the numbers stay low, it's not as concerning. but we are watching it. And once again, this is something that we have absolutely no control over. So we really have to wait for the FDA to approve it, especially with the emergency declaration going out. The emergency use authorization for some of these vaccines will be invalid after that point. So, they have to be fully approved by the FDA to be utilized at all. So there's still some questions on vaccines that we're trying to keep an eye on. The state's aware of that. So, when we have more information, we'll definitely be sharing that far and wide.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Prakash?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Staff, any questions for
None.
Health District? Charlie, thank you very much. Appreciate it. You're all
No
set.
problem. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, you too. All right. Given the two events, I just thought I would circle back with Chief Collette regarding resources on the road in the town of Rocky Hill. We talked briefly before the start of tonight's committee meeting, but residents can rest assured there's 4 patrol officers out there at any given time,
At the very minimum.
at the very
It's
minimum.
Not long after the incident occurred, our patrol commander, Lieutenant Gutzfeld, locked our schedule down, which effectively increased our minimum staffing for the next 48 hours, 72 hours. So we actually had extra cars on patrolling our neighborhoods with high visibility. In addition to that, we've leveraged the ARPA grant. We have that funding we received last year, and we had two or three patrols last week with another 1 or 2 scheduled for this week. We're trying to spread that money out for the course of the calendar year. And it is designed for this purpose to deter, detect, and increase visibility and stop suspicious vehicles and those involved in catalytic converter thefts, but certainly violent crime. So I'd like to let you know, and the panel and those at home, I mean, we're giving it everything we have, and we're throwing it every resource we have at it, and hope to let you know you have nothing to worry about, and know that we're doing the best job we can for you.
We're thankful for that, and so for residents looking on and having having concerns, rightfully so, see something, say something, call into dispatch, so.
Agreed.
Report. All right, great. Motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good night. Thank you, everyone.